Chapter 5 is talking about ratio and rate. A ratio is a comparison of two things by division. It's not really a fraction, but we can reduce it kind of like a fraction. We either use like measurements or unlike measurements in order to do this. Another vocabulary word is a rate, and a rate is a comparison of two unlike measurements. And last, a unit rate has a denominator of 1. It's kind of like a rate, but we're reducing it to 1. So let's start talking about exactly what a ratio is. And so if I write 3 to 2, I can write it like that. So I'm comparing 3 items to 2 items. We don't know what they are. We could write it like this, 3 to 2. We can also write it in fraction form. But we don't reduce it like a fraction. All right? So if we're comparing 3 cups of flour to 2 cups of sugar, okay, we don't have to write the cups because it's the same measurement. They kind of cancel out. But we don't have 1.5 cup ratios. We don't do it any further than that. So we just keep the ratio. So 3 to 2. Okay, it could be 6 to 4. Remember when we were building fractions before? Could be that many. We don't know exactly how many they are when we have these ratios, but we know for every 3 cups of one thing, we have 2 cups of something else, or whatever the items are. All right? So if I'm having a rate using unlike terms, we have to list it. So if I'm going 3 cats to 2 dogs, okay, these are now unlike terms. So this is going to be more along the rate lines. Again, these are not fractions, even though we can write them like this. We can write 3 to 2 and 3 to 2 just like we did before, but we can't reduce it. We do not have 1.5 cat dogs. You know, it just doesn't work like that. Okay, so we have to leave them improper. We also have to leave the labels so people know what we're talking about. And last is the unit rate. So and these are using different units. So if I'm going 200 miles and I went on 10 gallons of gas, okay, I can reduce that to 1. So I'm going to have 20 to 1, or more likely, again, we're going to have to use the rates here, is we just write 20 miles per gallon. So we're used to doing that. We've seen those before. Unit rates are always to 1. How much for one thing? So when you see unit rate, it's always going to be reduced to 1. Well, let's do a few more of those in our homework and see how this is really working. So problem number 1 is I'm doing 16 to 60. Doesn't say what the items are, it's just a ratio. We're comparing two like things. So I'm going to write it in kind of fraction form because I think it's kind of easier to reduce that way. I notice that they're both even, and I notice that 4 goes into both. So I'm going to divide both the top and the bottom by 4. 4 into 16 is 4, 4 into 60 is 15. Doesn't reduce anymore. So my ratio simplified, which is what they're asking us to do, it means to simply reduce that, is to 4 to 15. Again, I started out with 16 things to 60, but I can simplify my ratio, 4 items to 15 items, again, whatever the items are. But they have to be the same in order to be a ratio. Number 4, I had 24 teaspoons, and I'm comparing that to 18 teaspoons. So I'm going to set this up again, kind of in fraction-like form, and I have teaspoons and teaspoons. But again, the teaspoons can kind of go away in the answer because they're the same, and then I'm just reducing these. Well, I notice that 6 goes into both 18 and 24, so I'm going to divide them both by 6. So I would get 4 to 3. And I quit there. I do not have 1 1/3. It doesn't work that way, remember. Just simply I'm comparing 4 items to 3 items. Right? What if I don't have the same number of items? Or, I mean, if I'm just doing a rate and they're not the same unit. So on number 13. I have $4,540, and they're talking about donors. So 40 donors. So I have dollars to donors. Okay. Well, first off, I know when I'm reducing, they both end in 0, so I can divide that by 10, correct? So those are just going to basically cancel. So my first reduction here is 454 to 4. But then you and I both see that they're both even still. So I need to reduce that again. And they both can go down by 2. So I would have $227. Okay, we could write dollars or just a symbol, that's fine, to 2 donors. And I have to keep my words on these because I have to be able to identify. People have to identify what they are. So if this was my grand total and I'm dividing it down, so I would have an average then of $227 to every 2 donors. I don't need to go to 1. I'm not asked for a unit rate yet. I'm just asked for a rate. Okay, let's do one more of those. Let's do number 20. So if I had $280 and I'm in 16 hours, okay, so I'm going to reduce that down then. And I notice that 8 can go, or actually 4 can go both of those. Let's do 4 first, even though I don't think that's the biggest one. Or I know it's not the biggest one. So then we would have 70 to 8, okay, excuse me, to 4. Okay, and then I notice they're both even, which reduces 35 to 2. All right, again, dollars to donors. Running out of paper here. All right, so you have to keep the labels when we're dealing with rate. Ratio you don't, because they're the same. They just kind of cancel out. But when we're dealing with rate or unit rate, we have to keep the words there. All right, let's get another sheet of paper here because I want to do a couple more things. So let's look at number 21. I have 10 trees, and I'm going to every to 37 feet. So I could write it again, 10 trees over 35 feet. And notice that 5 goes into both. So that would have 2 trees to every 7 feet. Okay. What if I need to do a unit rate? Okay, unit rate, remember, I'm going to take all the way down to 1. So let's look at problem number 31. I have 36 feet to 9 seconds. Okay, so if we write it in fraction form, I have 36 feet, 9 seconds. I know 9 goes into 36 4 times, so I'm going to have 4 feet per second. And I'm basically then dividing the top by the bottom for a unit rate. Okay, unit rate goes to 1. Alright, so it's always to 1. So this is 4 to 1, or 4 feet per second. Because that's how we would normally say it. We don't say 4 feet to 1 foot per second, or we would just say 4 feet per second. Okay, so what if we don't have one that doesn't work quite so easily into a problem? We have 4 quarts to 500 miles. Let's say your car is not doing too well. And we're using 4 quarts of oil for every 500 miles. It's a burner. So again, we're going to set it up as a fraction. We're going to take the top number, divide it by the bottom. Remember, so we're going to take 4. You can do it on your calculator. If we do that, we're going to get 0.008 quarts per mile. Okay, so top divided by the bottom is going to give us our unit rate. So it's always going to go to 1. Okay, and then label it. It has to be labeled. Have fun with the homework.